And so can you talk about the practice, why it's important for leadership, and then its relationship to high stress that we're in now?
The practice, everything we do influences our awareness. I want to say this first so that we don't appear to be just saying that's the only way to do it and all of that. Everything we do influences our awareness. Whatever we put our attention on grows stronger in our life. So if you see something good and helpful and happy and nice and inspiring, it impacts you and it impacts your awareness, your vision. You're not the same when you come out of a talk that is inspiring, that gives you light and knowledge, rather than coming out of a situation where there is stress and fear and pain. So our vision, we can say beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder. It really depends on also the filters that we have and that grow. So what we need is to clean up the filters in a sense. So everything we do has an impact. Even if you eat the wrong food, it has an impact on the way your physiology works, your nervous system. If you have a cold, you feel miserable, you wonder you're ever gonna be the same again. And then you come out and you wake up and you open your eyes and you see you have consciousness comes back when you recover. So there is a very deep and profound interaction between mind and body. So the best thing one can do is to transcend. Go beyond the surface, go to the self, anchor your ship in the ocean, in the bottom of the ocean, and then no matter how big the waves are on the surface, you are solidly strong and established in stability and strength. Now, that's not the only reason, stability. Thoughts that come to us are the basis of our action. We think we act, the body acts, so you have to use the body and all of that. Of course, the body acts. Through the action, we get achievement. Fine, of course, it's through the action. But how do we do our action? It comes from our thoughts. So we think, then we act. Except if we are automated, then we are not, then we are just reacting to things. And then a machine can do it. We don't need anything. And that's a different story. But if we want to create a better life for ourselves, fulfill our desires, create something that is progressive and growing and helpful for ourselves and others, we have to have proper thought. This is planning and thinking. Now, where does the thought come from? It comes from the inner self. It comes from ourselves. And in our paradigm, and what we're proposing and what we have seen scientifically, it comes from that field. So the more people go deep within themselves, the more they are in touch with the source of thought, the source of creativity, and the source of intelligence, which brings us back to this big self that we talked about, the true self, that is in fact the self of everything and the self of everyone. And from that platform, this is, we said, the non-local level that can act in a way that takes into consideration the entire field of reality. And so we are established in a place which is the source of creativity, the source of intelligence, the source of coherence, the source of all that there is. So the technique is go to the self and experience that. Now, what happens when you go to the self is not just some philosophical, inspirational, nice idea, but the fact that you are aligning yourself with the source of intelligence, with the unified field. And as the ocean gets quieter and quieter when you dive deeper and deeper, the mind gets settled more and more as you dive within. And since mind and body are intimately connected, the body settles down. So the body gains deep rest. And this rest is so profound that it can get rid of your stresses. So that brings us to the point of stress that you have mentioned. That is a great problem in society. And the stresses, how are they usually relieved? It's through rest. How do we get rid of stress? If you have pain in the muscle or you have some stress fatigue, You don't try to pull it out of the muscle, you rest. And the body has the ability to heal itself because it can get rid of this abnormal functioning by healing itself. The deeper you give it rest, the deeper the stresses are released. And the more deep the stresses are released, the better your physiology functions and the clearer is your mind. And therefore, you not only access that field of creativity and intelligence, which is your true self, so you're going back home, going back to yourself, but also you get cleaned up, you get cleared up from those filters that damage your perception and don't allow you to see broadly. Also, your consciousness expands. Under stress, consciousness becomes very narrow. In the 1970s, there was Eastern Airline flight flying from JFK to Miami. And there were 3 pilots, who was, an engineer and 2 pilots. And then when they arrived almost near the Everglades, they found that there was a little bulb that was not functioning properly. And so they got all 3 of them, one had to go down to check it out, and all the things about this bulb, the bulb, what happened to the bulb, and all of that. And they forgot that the autopilot wasn't anymore activated, and unfortunately they crashed. And probably you're aware of this. I don't know if you do, but they're focused on a small, little, tiny point because of stress. Made them forget the broad comprehension, the field awareness, and that's why the FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration, installed later training for pilots for what they call situational awareness. It's like, don't get bogged down with some small thing and forget to fly the plane. This is something that unfortunately happens to people in their lives. They focus on a small thing, they lose broad comprehension, and how many people crash their plane, crash the life that they have because of a small thing. You said this that time, I said this time, I did this time, you did this that time, and you get this idea fix, this fixed idea. It's like looking at the bulb and forgetting to fly the plane, forgetting to fly your life, to take it to these amazing possibilities that it offers us, because you are focused on this little tiny thing. And that is physiological also. It's not just some kind of intellectual thing. The physiology responds to stress this way. That narrows our awareness. We lose the broad comprehension and we crash our lives this way. So that is a very important aspect. Broad awareness, broad comprehension is not just a term for philosophy and understanding. It means how many factors in life are we able to take into consideration when we are, as leaders or as individuals, facing a situation. The leader, more than anyone else, because you asked this part of the question, needs broad comprehension. So what they need is to step back away. And the leaders know this, the great leaders of companies and societies. When they have many factors, they know they have to take a step back. But that step back can be on just a conscious intellectual level, trying to analyze things, but can also be on a much more profound level, which is to transcend, which is to go inside and go to the ultimate stepping back. And stepping back here doesn't mean running away. It means broadening awareness, broadening consciousness. And that transcendence starts to become more and more established in your life, not only during these few minutes of transcendental meditation, morning and evening, but it starts being established on a regular basis, even when you are actually dynamically attentive to the outside and taking care of the outside. The inside is the ocean of consciousness, always established there. And I